Hi, guys. Hope you're doing well this evening. It's Fred and Sheila with Hatfield, McCoy Museum Adventures and Fred and Sheila Investigates.
Guys, this is going to be part two
hmm
of the video that we did yesterday, reviewing the news footage that was on the TV station there. It's going to be part two. It's going to be interesting. Be sure and tune in Sunday. Sunday's video, you won't want to miss it. It's going to be very interesting. Breaking news. The uh, we have got a helper and extremely helpful to us. Has the file
Thank you.
and sending us stuff
hmm
and we really appreciate that. And all kinds of all kinds of new developments. And only thing we can say is it's a shame. It's a shame. It's exactly what we thought. There is no signed statement of Buford Pusser. So when you, or at least as of right now, they've still got some pages to go, but as of right now, there's no signed statement that Buford Pusser ever signed any statement. There is a statement from um, Warren Jones that says Buford's very cooperative and that the blood on the hood was inconclusive at the FBI. Her blood is A positive, his is O, correct?
Oh,
And
he's
it was
universal. Yeah.
it was inconclusive as to the blood, but he was bleeding awful bad, and that
Is that the report where they called him a victim as well?
yeah. Thank you, babe. Both of them,
hmm
Pauline Pusser victim, Buford Pusser victim. So uh, they're declaring him as a victim there also. You're going when we start showing you this report that's coming out, you're going to be as puzzled as we are as to what's going on here with Mr. Davison and Mr. Roush. What I don't understand it. This second part's just going to be like the first.
hmm
I had gotten up and I had made a video, and then we had to edit it. So Sheila's going to play it now. I'm sure that we're going to interrupt and interject some comments, but let's just start off with the other half of that video.
All righty.
Hey guys, the report also goes on to say that Pauline had previous wounds that were healing. Like what? See, I didn't see. They said that she had a nasal fracture that was healed. It was healed. Look at the report. If I'm wrong, correct me. Furthermore, Dr. Messer observed, whatever that word is, prior to death, healing nasal fracture on the right side of Pauline's nose. Healing prior to death. Does it say healing or does it say healed? I've got to go back and look at that. If you've got the autopsy report handy there, look at it and see if it said a healing nasal fracture or if it said a healed nasal fracture. I wish to goodness I would have looked at that before I started this. But guys, look at it. And guys, that's when I was making it
hmm
and didn't have the copy then. But now that Sheila's here and redoing it, I want to pick up there a little bit. Sheila's going to put these 5 pages of this autopsy report at the back
Sure will.
instead of inserting it right here. She's just going to put it at the back of this video. But I just want to read you some highlights here. And what it said was a remote nasal bone fracture. Remote.
Mm.
On down through here, it says no overt evidence of soot, muzzle, imprint, gunpowder, stippling are identified. Talking about the gunshots um, to the head and so forth. No stippling. Consistent with an entrance type gun wound. No evidence of soot disposition are identified. The trajectory of this shot from the body is a standard in set in position, and directional components are not excluded. Multiple shots, but I want to stick with the nose for right now. I want to stick with any damage because we have read where people's putting out there and saying, "Oh, Pauline was beat up." Small projectile fragments, remote head injury, nasal bone has remote fracture. The nose. Now, what you got to look for when you're looking through this report is they exhumed this woman to get bullets out of her head to compare to a gun. That was their reasoning for digging her up. They've got a stolen gun now that's probably been used in this homicide, and now they've got to dig her up because they got to get bullets out there to compare this gun to, especially since they can't find the casings that was left on the road out there in 1967, especially since they've lost all the evidence. But dentures are in place. Her dentures are in place. Her dentures aren't broke. They're not cracked. The chin has dissension, mold, and no overt evidence of injury. Her chin, where you would hit somebody in the chin, no evidence of injury. Her dentures are not. The neck is green brown mold. There is no evidence of external injury. Sheila's going to include this. You'll see where I've got it marked, me or
Okay.
her one.
Mm-hmm.
One's in yellow, one's in orange. But look at all the places. No injury, no external injury. The upper extremities are normal. The lower extremities are normal. The upper and lower airway is unobstructed. No space occupying lesions or scarring are identified. She's not been choked.
Mm-hmm.
She's not been strangled. The esophagus is intact. The her organs is normally appear to be normal. She's not been sexually assaulted. The neck, anterior neck dissension reveals no overt evidence of hemorrhaging. The hide bone, cartilage, and the thyroid cartilage have no deformities. She's not been choked. She's not been strangled. It goes on to say the last line, no evidence of injury. Look what you're reading in that report there. No evidence of injury. Normally formed. The pelvic bones normally formed. No injury. Reportedly shot. She was shot on 8/12/67. An official consultant report released. The autopsy, additional information regarding injuries. He was exhumed. Talks about the bullet, directional of the bullet. The findings of the autopsy are consistent with at least one high velocity projectile. You know, guys, they keep saying, even in one of these videos that we done, they tested a 357 Magnum. They tested a 357 Magnum. Why? The autopsy, the coroner, the ME says that at least one of the projectiles was high velocity projectile back to front. Her cause of death is best attributed to gunshot wound to the head. It's a homicide. So when you see these things like you do on that report, on that news report that they done there, it's not correct. It doesn't line up. It doesn't line up with the autopsy report. Go ahead. We're going to point some more stuff out as we go along.
All righty.
I won't be able to put it in this video because I don't edit. I just say it and print it like it is. So a healing nasal fracture, was that wrote here in this report or is that in the original autopsy report? Does it say healing nasal fracture? Because healing would be means that it's still broken right then. It's not completely healed yet. I thought I read where it said that it was a healed fracture. This information is extremely significant because Jim Moffitt stated
remote nasal fracture. Remote nasal bone fracture is what it is.
that suspect Buford had beaten up victim Pauline shortly before her death. And Annie Sue Pipes observed victim Pauline with bruises and a black eye, according to the files. Now, guys, See, that's the bad thing about just getting a little bit of information here and there and not having the access before it's over with. Believe me, before it's over with, there's people that's going to be going through this with a fine-tooth comb. This information is extremely significant because Jim Moffitt stated that Buford had beaten Pauline shortly before her death. I'd like to see Jim Moffitt's statement. And you know, that makes me wonder if that is in Jim Moffitt's statement, and with PD, two of his deputies, PD being in possession of a M130 caliber carbine, was there something, was there more going on? Was there some type of a conspiracy? Was this, if you've got your two chief officers, your two best friends that you thought, and they're doing this, these guys were with him a long time. This is not somebody that run up on corruption and says, hey, I think I'll report to the TBI. I think I'll report to the Highway Patrol. Buford's not right, guys. He's crooked. They didn't do that. But now all of a sudden Buford winds up dead. PD Plunk's got a gun, tries to tie it to Buford. So they say. Jim Moffitt has said a statement like this. I'd have to see the statement first before I would believe this. But if there is, that would also give rise to other people I would want to talk to as suspects. What happened here? Was there a sheriff's race coming up? Was there... Guys, politics is a funny thing. Now, let's go to the next one. Pauline, shortly before her death, and Annie Sue Pipes observed Pauline with bruises and black eye, according to the files. See, we got to see that file. We got to see that file from 1967. 1967, there should be a file, a statement in that file from Annie Sue Pipes. Does anybody know Annie Sue Pipes? Please put it in the comments for me. Help me out here. Let's work together on this. Annie Sue Pipes. Is she alive? Is she dead? Now, according to the files. Now, I'm going to tell you what I've come up with. I'm going to tell you what I found. You're going to see it in a minute.
Wow.
According to the files, guess what files, guys? Guess what I believe, in my opinion, they're talking about when they say according to the files. I think they're talking about according to Mike Elam's files, according to Mike Elam's book, according to Mike Elam's podcast. Could I be wrong? Certainly. I could be wrong. I don't believe I am. That's another fault. If I'm right, if I'm correct, then by them telling you guys that and trying to sway people's opinion and trying to let people think according to the files is the files of 1967. That's not the files of 1967. That's the files of Mr. Mike Elam and what he wrote in his book or said on his podcast of these people that he says he talked to, of these people that he talked to their grandchildren, of their next mother's grandchildren. He's all over the place, guys. That don't make it. We don't prosecute and we don't persecute people on opinions and hearsay. Now, was Moffitt's statement signed, dated, and witnessed, or was it like Buford's? Was Moffitt's statement that the TBI has, or say they have, was it signed, dated, and witnessed, or was it like Buford?
Guys, we got a message not 5 minutes before we came on here. And going through that file, so far, there is no signed statement of Buford Pussers. We've said this since day one, since our first video. When we seen these 3 pages on white notebook paper, just printed out, typewritten, and talking in third party, one of us said to the other, where's his signature? Where's it witnessed? What date was this signed? Where's the letterhead? It's not there. Who transcribed this? It's not, there's nothing. There's no ink on there. The only ink on there is typewritten. And it just says, Buford said this, Buford said that, or he said he went there. And
Yeah. It talked about him like it wasn't him doing the talk and someone else, like you said, did it for him.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And so somebody has filled that statement out. Now we're wondering, and the person is looking right now. We're going to see if Jim Moffitt, they said that Jim Moffitt said that Buford had beat Pauline up. Okay. If he did, then surely there's a signed statement, dated, witnessed, with Jim Moffat's signature on there. I can't see it. We can't see working for somebody for 3 terms as his chief deputy the whole time he's the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when his wife's killed, you come out and say, yeah, old Buford beat her up. We can't see that. Anything's possible. Still doesn't mean he killed her, but I'd have to see. I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see a signed statement. I think we're going to see the same thing we did with Buford's statement. Somebody has wrote up a third party statement as if Moffat has said this or that. You got to understand, guys, 58 years later, guess where Jim Moffat's at? He's dead. How are we going to go ask Jim Moffat if what this person said in this statement was said? If his signature's not on there, it's not witnessed and dated, throw it out the window. It's no good. It's trash. Go ahead, Paul, unless you got something.
Oh, well, I agree with you.
Buford Pussers. Did Warren Jones also type up a statement in his spare time on his day off or whatever and say this story someday is going to be big and I'm going to leave this with my offspring or my family or somebody? Did Warren Jones write up another statement besides Buford's? And did he, in that statement, it say that my best friend that I've been working with for all these years and chief deputy, and he trusted me, but I seen Pauline all beat up. I hope that statement is signed and dated and witnessed so we'll know for a fact that that is true. Because if it's another statement,
Guys, if anybody out there knows the family of Warren Jones,
Jones.
we'd like to have a better understanding of who he was, what his and Buford's relationship was. Why did they dislike each other? Why did they not get along?
Mm-hmm.
Why did Mr. Jones, we think, in our opinion, started the rumors that was in the newspaper about Buford? We believe that. We could be wrong, but we'd also like to know why Mr. Jones left the FBI after under 2 years, 2 years or under. He done left the FBI. He was just a fingerprint analysis guy, but what made him leave the FBI and leave a federal job and go to the state, go to the TBI? What was he fired? Did he do something wrong? Was there something unethical? Was there? We don't know. We haven't found nothing, and we're asking. We'd rather somebody come forward and tell us, um, because more than likely, the more we search, we're eventually going to find it or run upon somebody that will tell us. So it'd be nice if somebody would let us in on the secret. But there's more to Buford and Jones's relationship than,
Meets the eye.
yeah. Go ahead, Punk.
like Buford Pusser's, guys, that's not Moffat's statement. That's something somebody has typed up in third party and acting like it's Moffat's. I can't wait to see it. There's a lot of people that's ordered this case. We don't have the $400, so or we'd rather spend it on groceries and electric bill. So when you guys get these, please post whatever you find out on these statements. Don't take everything you believe as the gospel just because it says this is so-and-so statement. It may say it's so-and-so statement, but it may just be something somebody wrote up. Cops and prosecutors are dirty, guys. They are dirty. I'm here to tell you. I spent 40 years in law enforcement, and it's a shame of what we...
More today than any time other. It seems like it's getting worse and worse. And something like this even raises this really brings doubt towards the TBI and toward Mr. Davison's office. It really does. I believe what they did, but it's across the nation. It's in every agency, it's in every department. But this really brought attention to the TBI and Mr. Davison's office. I'm hoping that one day there'll be a whistleblower, that there'll be somebody that will come out and explain what this was all about, because this is not about justice. This is not about Buford Pusser after 58 years. This is not about justice for Pauline. This is not about none of that stuff. Justice for Pauline was about selling books and getting podcasters to viewers and clicks. That's what that's about. But what's really concerning, what's really puzzling is the fact that the TBI and Mr. Davison's office bought this hook, line, and sinker. Did they buy it because they're so naive that they just didn't see where it was coming from? Or was there an alternate motive there that somebody in somebody's family in years past didn't get along with Buford Pusser and somebody's seen a way to bring him down? Let's bring him down a notch. And not thinking that nobody, the thousands and thousands, maybe closer to millions, hundreds of thousands, people's coming out of the woodwork over this. People takes up for the underdog. People don't like to see people done dirty, especially when they can't stand up for themselves, and especially when they're dead.
We look at with a uniform and a badge or a law degree. Additionally, on May the 1st, 2024, according to the files, guys, May the 1st, 2024, according to the files, agents met with an individual that provided additional information into the events leading up to Pauline's death. I wonder who that is. You can see my writing. You can see in red who I got there, but I've also got question marks. So that's my opinion. According to the files, I think the files is according to Mike Elam. Agents met with individual that provided additional information into the events leading up to Pauline's death. Who had that? Who had that information? They met with an individual that provided additional information into the events leading up to Pauline's death. Now, who had that? Who was riding in that back seat with Pauline and Buford? Who was there? Or did it just take a good imagination? Did it just take somebody that wanted to go down in history as solving a murder case? Is it somebody that's a legend in their own mind? Is it somebody that can tell a story faster than you can? Give him a topic and this man can blow up an onion sack, guys. And that's, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I apologize. But nobody else is. They don't care to accuse a dead man of murder. They don't care to accuse a dead man of murder. So short of me accusing somebody of killing somebody with no evidence, I guess I'm okay. As long as I don't do what they did, as long as I stay lesser than them. ASAC, Michael Parsons, and S.A. Brent Booth met with Tammy Johnson and Teresa Smith at approximately 12 o'clock p.m. at Starbucks. Well, we know it's not 1967, right? That's a clue. They met at 12 o'clock at Starbucks located at 50.
I looked it up.
Did you?
Yeah,
I was gonna say, shoot, I forgot to.
no, Sheila mentioned it and she said, "Are you sure there wasn't Starbucks?" And I'm thinking 1967. No, well, we wasn't far off because 1971, the first Starbucks ever opened. It opened somewhere out west in Seattle, Washington, or somewhere. But
No, but I forgot.
1971. Well, that's why when I come across that,
Darn.
I thought I better check that.
Yeah.
1971. So there was not a Starbucks back in 1967. Go ahead.
1580 US 72 in Corinth, Mississippi. Huh, read the red there. What year? What year, guys? They tell you the address, 1580. They tell you the highway numbers, US 72. They tell you the county, Corinth, or the city. They tell you the state, Mississippi. But they forget to tell you what year these agents met with Tammy Johnson and Teresa Smith. Wouldn't that be something would be nice to know? Is this 1967 or is this 2024 or 25? Is it 1967? Be nice. Be nice for most people that reads this report. They think, oh, they met with these people in 1967. No, guys. No, this is not 1967. They didn't have Starbucks in 67. But they didn't put the year there so they could, in my opinion, to be deceptive. So it didn't stand out that it was 2024. Let me go back up top here now. I may be, additionally, in May the 1st, May the 1st, 2024, they met with They met with somebody, an individual. So they don't say what year it is here. I was making sure. I didn't want to say something. Again, I don't want to be
Pause it there.
spread any.
Go ahead.
Guys, I'm just Google, just doing stuff. But I typed in, when did Starbucks first come to Mississippi? It says here Starbucks has been in Mississippi since at least 2013.
So they haven't had one in Mississippi until around 2013 when they got their first Starbucks. So we know it's not. We know it's not 1967. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought I would
Yeah,
check that out.
good point.
Thing that I know is false. I'm not trying to do that, but I want to raise doubt when doubt is there. The reason for this meeting was due to information that Tammy Johnson's mother, hold on guys, mother, who knows Barbara Gail Dewey Biven? Who knows Barbara Gail Dewey Biven? Is she alive or is she dead? I'm assuming that she's deceased, because had she been alive, surely they would have met with her, since she's going to be the witness here, the alleged witness. They wouldn't have no reason to meet with her daughter if she's alive, correct? Okay, let's get by that. So we think Barbara's dead. I do. So they met with Tammy Johnson. Information that Tammy Johnson's mother, Barbara, and Teresa Smith's aunt. Oh, Teresa Smith's not a witness. Teresa Smith is here in place of her aunt, Shirley Smith. Now, where's Shirley Smith, guys? Do any of you guys in Adamsville or McNairy County know Barbara or Shirley? Are they both deceased? I think they are, or maybe they've just refused to meet. They say, hey, we're not getting involved. If you want to meet with Mike Elam, you go ahead and meet with them. We're not going to do this, because I think that's who they met with too. I think that's where Mike Elam got his story from. Mike Elam passed these names on to these TBI agents when he met with them before. If I'm correct, on May the 1st, 2024, according to the files, they met with an individual that provided additional information into the events that led up to Pauline's death. So this is Mike, and Mike has told these agents about Tammy Johnson and Teresa Smith. Now, he's told Tammy Johnson and Teresa Smith, guys, he told them the same thing that he told P.D. Plunk's son, Ricky. Ricky, get ready. We're going to be famous. We're going to be famous. Prepare your family. Prepare everybody. And he's told these women, in my opinion, get ready, ladies. If we can put this story together and we can sell this story, we can hang old Buford, and we're going to be in a book. We're going to be in police reports. We're going to be in everything coming and going. They may even make a movie about us. Enough of that. I'll move on. Shirley Smith overheard an argument between Buford Pusser and Pauline Pusser. Oh, so Barbara and Shirley overheard an argument. The significant information from this meeting is that both Tammy Johnson and Teresa Smith stated that Barbara, Gail Dewey Bivens, and Shirley Smith overheard an argument. Overheard, guys. These two ladies are telling the TBI, or ever who these agents are, they're telling them that their mother and their aunt overheard an argument where Buford Hayes Pusser and Pauline Mullins Pusser was in the parking lot of the old Hickory Gill in Guys, Tennessee in the early morning hours of the same date that Pauline Mullins Pusser was killed. Wow. Mike Elam says P.D. Plunk's wife was out with Pauline that night, and Dennis Hathcock stated that he's followed Buford around that night. I could be wrong. I could have misunderstood, because these videos of Mike's, it's all I can do to watch them, because I can just see every other word. It's just not true. But if I'm not mistaken, I watched a video where Mike Elam said that P.D. Plunk's wife and Pauline was out drinking that night. They were out drinking that night, yet when the autopsy was done, there was no blood. There was no alcohol found in her blood system. It was only caffeine.
Liver.
Only caffeine in her liver or blood or whatever they examined there. Mike
They gonna
Elam says
talk to her now.
Petey
Right.
Punk's wife was out with Pauline that night drinking. And Dennis Cock, I heard him on Elam. He was interviewing him, and he tells Elam that he followed Buford around half the night, wanting to see what Buford was into. Well, how did that happen? How did these ladies, how did their mother and aunt tell them that they seen Pauline and Buford out behind this parking lot, Old Hickory Grill,
The call them.
arguing before the killing?
Stop it. If you need
How
to.
is that? She can't be doing that because she's out hanging out with Levon or somebody's her name.
Yeah, Levon.
This is real good, guys. This is an attention getter. Anybody out there, when you see something like this, you think, wow, now this really makes their case. They dug up the body, man. They got some evidence there, did they? They were hoping for it, but it wasn't there. It wasn't there. The only thing they had there was maybe a fractured nose that had been healed. Fractured nose. And if she did have one, no doubt it came from her first husband, who she ran away from with her children. One child was mentally retarded from where they said that her first husband beat her so bad. I don't know that. I'm telling you, I'm like Mike Elam. I'm just going to dish it out there. Y'all believe what you want, but that's the story we got from a whole lot more reliable source than what Mike Elam says he gets his from. At least ours is still alive. Tammy Johnson and Teresa Smith echoed the same remarks by stating that Barbara, Gail Dewey, Bivens, and Shirley Smith were in the area of the Old Hickory Gill parking lot where they could not be seen by Buford, Hayes, Pusser, and victim Pauline Mullins Pusser, but they could see and hear everything that was going on. Now, that's according to the report. According to the report, guys. Now, what do we call a report here? Is this a report from 1967? If it is, that's fantastic. That would be great. That would give me faith in this statement. Not much, because it's still hearsay, but is that according to the report from 1967, or is that according to the report from Mr. Mike Elam, where he met with them and told them what these ladies was going to say, because he had already talked to them before? He's not talked to the original witnesses. He's not talked to the original women. They're probably deceased from what I figure. But they use this according to the report. Now, this is where a good defense lawyer in court is going to find out what they mean by this. When all these people's names that you see in these reports, that you've seen on that stage, that you've seen as expert witnesses, when you see them in court, instead of being expert witnesses, they're on the stand being questioned as witnesses. They're being questioned not as an expert witness, but as to these statements. In this remark here that you made, according to the report, what are you referring to? Can you show us that report? Well, it's not really a report. It was Mr. Elam. We had met with him. Oh, so it's not a report. It's in your report, but it actually came from Mr. Elam. Guys, I'm speculating. I could be very wrong. I don't believe I am, but I could be. Keep that in mind. Did they call the police to report this domestic fight? Guys, did these two women that's now deceased, did their niece and their daughter, did they say that their moms and their aunt called the police and said, hey, I've got some concern here. You got to get down here before something happens? Because if they would have, they might have saved old Pauline's life. They could have very well saved Pauline's life had they just called 911. Yeah, they didn't have 911. Had they just called the police. Picked up the phone, called the switchboard, and said, put me to Andy. Unbelievable, guys. I believe you're going to find out. The witness goes on to say she heard the argument between Buford and Pauline Pusser, and that the content was over Pauline's anger toward an affair. Now we're going to get down. Here we go. See, this is where Mike Elam usually said, and the rest of the story, or the story goes, I even heard Mr. Roush on the stage that day. He's giving a press conference, and he used Mike Elam's words up there. He said, the story goes, and I'm thinking, holy smoke, how much time has he spent with Mike Elam that he's already just using his language? Watch 1, 2, or 3 of his videos, and you'll see what I'm saying because it's there. Tammy Johnson elaborated that her mother and aunt told her that the argument was because Pauline Mullins Pusser was fed up with Buford Hayes Pusser's affair with a black woman. Now, I'm one of those people that don't believe in race. I hate when people bring up, oh, black, or, oh, it's because they were black, it's because they was this, it's because they were, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. That day's over. That bird won't fly. But here, they say it. She's not upset because she's having an affair. See, most women would be upset because Pusser's having an affair. But here it says that Pauline Mullins Pusser was fed up with Buford Hayes Pusser's affair with a black woman. It wasn't that it was an affair. It's with a black woman. It's the way I read it. Pearl Wade. Guys, I Googled that, and I come up with about 6 Pearl Wades, and half of them, more than half, was from Tennessee, and all of them was dead. I need some help. Who is Pearl Wade? Is she still alive today? It would be great if she was, because we could nip this in the bud, as old Barney would say. But I have a feeling that she's also deceased. I have a feeling, because everybody at Mike Elam has got a statement from in his mind, or he's ever talked to in his mind, or he doesn't have tape recordings. He doesn't have a signed, notarized statement with their signature and date, but he's got their name. Well, now, she told me this. She told me that. Oh, where can I get a hold of her at? Oh, she's dead. And I don't know this, but in the red there it says, where is Pearl? And who interviewed her? Who went and talked to Pearl? Who asked? Surely somebody's questioned Pearl. Pearl, was you and Buford having an affair? Doesn't make him a murderer of his wife, but I don't believe it. I don't see it, because even after she was dead, he didn't date nobody for years. Where is Pearl, and who interviewed her? Teresa Smith stated, we're almost done with this, guys. We're almost at the bottom, I believe. Teresa Smith stated that her aunt, Shirley Smith, told her that a car pulled up and that Pauline Mullins Pusser was screaming at Buford Pusser that she was going to ruin him. Boy, that's a good statement. That'd be like something on Perry Mason. I mean, that's just a kill statement right there. You're doomed. You're doomed now. She stated that she was going to ruin him. Why, you know he went out and killed her. He had no choice, guys. If somebody's going to ruin you, you got to go kill them. Is this when they called the police? Surely by now they've seen that Pauline's in danger and they've called the police, right? So somewhere in this report in 1967, it's going to say that these 2 women, these 2 busybodies, said, hey, I'm afraid Pauline's in danger. Let's call the police and report this. He may kill her. Because had they done that, she may be alive today. Who knows? Guys, this is hearsay. This didn't happen. This was written in a book. This is garbage. You have put a man's reputation in the sewer over hearsay. And I told her, I was told this, told that. I heard this, heard that. The story goes here. This is Mike Elam's book. This is Mike Elam's podcast from what the parts I've watched from it. It's inconceivable to me that the TBI, other than some of these other things that's coming into play with these last names and different, there may be a whole lot more before this comes out. Believe me, there's some people that's going to get to the bottom of this. You can bet before this is over with. One of the other concerns investigators had after reviewing the investigation was a concern. Experts, the ballistics evidence does not align with Buford's version of the shooting as well. Oh, okay. One of the concerns the investigators had after reviewing the investigation after they reviewed the 1967 investigation, was a concern. Experts, the ballistics evidence does not.
Sorry.
Guys, this is not part of this video. We're going to do a video on it.
Mhm.
But along with the blood sample, the polygraph that W.O. and his wife had failed, more or less, inconclusive,
Inclusive, yeah.
that other people said they had passed. The report says it's inconclusive. They didn't. But along with that is also, guys, there's one statement there out of the report where they didn't even have. It says one of the concerns was the investigator had after reviewing the investigation. In 1983, they were still trying to find
Mm-hmm.
this report. Somebody in Ben said it was an open investigation. Ever so often, they're supposed to update it. And I think one time was in 1973, and then they couldn't find the file. In 83, they couldn't find the file. We'll be doing a video on that. So I don't know what they're reviewing here because according to the pages that we've looked at, they've lost the file as far back as 1973.
Hmm.
And in 83, it hadn't been found yet because they had sent a letter out to a couple of the TBI agents asking if they had seen the file or who had the file the last time they knew about it. We'll show you in an upcoming video.
Yeah.
Not align with Buford's version of the shooting. Oh, okay. Okay. It does not align, guys. Those bullet holes that's all over that car, that you could have stuck a dowel rod in and seen the direction they came from, that you could have took a magnifying glass or microscope or all these different things that people could have put that the FBI did put it through. The FBI did, but did the TBI call the FBI up and say, hey, can we get your reports? Can we get an agent up here to help us on this? We're reopening the Buford Pusser case. We need some agents down here. ATF, we need you in here. We got some guns to look at.
They're not going to share that
No,
name.
they didn't do that. Who's wanting to share?
Just stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to share that fame, guys. They didn't want to call the FBI. They didn't want to call the ATF because then they got to share up on that stage with the FBI and the ATF. And who's going to get most of the attention when it comes to federal, state, county, city? It goes down. You get very little. But when you're on the federal level, they steal the show. They won't go share that stage. No way. They'd rather take Tennessee tax dollars, Tennessee money, and hire private experts. Because, first of all, the ATF and the FBI may not see the same things that they're wanting to be seen here. But if you're paying people, if you're hiring your own experts, in my opinion, in my experience throughout the years, talking with expert witnesses, imagining how much they get paid an hour when you're waiting for them to testify and you're in court on the same case and you're talking, wow, that's pretty neat. How long you been an expert? What'd you do? And you get paid what? Yeah, wow. And then you're thinking, shucks, I'm in the wrong business here. But are they going to get the same business if they don't come back with a, go ahead. They get my point. I don't have to say it.
Nope.
This is 15 minutes of fame that the TBI and Mr. Davison is going to enjoy. The ballistics evidence does not align. Neither did the bullet holes align, guys, because they ain't got nothing to compare them to. The car is long gone. So when you see anything about expert witnesses about a car, about blood splatter, about ballistics evidence, when you see anything at all about that, just rule it out. Just say that's garbage, because these lawyers are going to get that thrown out. That's never going to make it to court for a civil case or a hearing, because it's not relevant. You can't compare ballistics and blood splatter today to something that you don't have to test it on back then. I'm sorry. According to Buford's statement, where is Buford's statement? That's me in the red. Where is Buford's statement? We haven't seen it, guys. But now they want to tell you in quotations, according to Buford's statement, after he and victim Pauline had been shot and the attacker's vehicle drove away towards Highway 45, Buford said that he had gone back to his car and had in mind to get into his trunk because he claimed that he had a high-powered rifle stored there. I don't know, what's he going to do? Get on a hill? Get on a hill and shoot at him? How are you going to do a rifle in your car? But let's go on. Buford described fumbling around for the keys to his trunk. I can see that. I can see nervous as a, I won't say that. I used to say that, but I don't use that anymore. Fumbling around for his keys in his trunk when it suddenly occurred to him that he had loaned his personal .30-06 rifle to Charles Cox a week or two before the ambush. Look at the red. Did anyone in 1967 confirm this with Mr. Cox? Did the TBI, did Mr. Warren Jones, or Mr. John Sloan, the TBI, go and interview Mr. Charles Cox? Is there a report in that 1967 report that says, well, yeah, we checked with Charles Cox, and Charles Cox had Buford's gun. He'd used it to go deer hunting, and he still had it at the house? Or did he say, what? Why would I have Buford's gun for? I ain't got no gun of Buford's. See, I don't believe Buford would have told somebody I loaned it to Charles Cox, unless he'd loaned it to Charles Cox, because you know you're going to check the story, especially when the rumors got started. On Wednesday, October the 11th, 1967, about 2 months after the alleged ambush, guys, listen to this real good. We're at the end. This is the bottom of it. We're at the end. On Wednesday, October the 11th, about 2 months after the ambush. It's not alleged. There's not an alleged ambush. They got ambushed. The proof, it's never been proven anything other than an ambush. Buford contacted the TBI agent, John Sloan, now deceased. Now, guys, do you notice anything there unusual? All up through here, we got this black woman. We got Charles Cox here. We have got these girls' mother and their aunt, Barbara Gail Dewey Biven. We've got
Shirley Smith.
Shirley Smith. I don't know. There were several up through there. Have you seen anybody at all where it said now deceased? There's several of them dead, but this is the only one. Where's Warren Jones at? Is Warren Jones alive today? Maybe somebody can answer that for me, please. Put it in the comments. Is Warren Jones, TBI agent Warren Jones, alive today? I don't believe he is.
Now, we found out on that first one we put out yesterday, part one.
Mhm.
Warren Jones died at 64 years old. So he's deceased also. Go ahead.
But did we see Warren Jones, TBI agent, now deceased anywhere? We haven't seen that anywhere. Nobody above is mentioned as being now deceased. But when they come to John Sloan, they say now deceased. Is that nothing? I don't know. I think it's unusual. I think it sure caught my attention. Let's go on. TBI agent John Sloan and required a ballistics test to be on his personal .30 caliber carbine rifle due to rumors. Now, guys, if you didn't read that, and I know I got sidetracked, but Buford Pusser contacted TBI agent John Sloan. He called John Sloan up, and he said, hey, Agent Sloan, I'd like to have you do a ballistics test on my .30 caliber carbine. There's all kinds of rumors floating around out here. He probably told them.
Before it goes any further, I want to call your attention to one thing there, how you can do in a report to sway people's opinion. And Buford called this agent up and he's asked him, he's requested him to do a ballistics test on his rifle. But look at the report. Look at the word that who wrote this report, every which TBI agent, every which one of them wrote this report wanted people to think that the TBI was required, not requested, required a ballistics test, as if they were wanting to test Buford's rifle to see. They didn't do that. Buford called him up and said, "Hey, there's rumors all over the place. If you don't care, take my gun, test it, so we can rule that out, so people won't be spreading this rumor around." But it doesn't say Buford requested a ballistics test. Look at your writing there. Buford required a ballistics test. What, you gonna call somebody up and say, "Hey, Agent Sloan, I'm required you to do a ballistics test"? That's a wording. That's typing.
Good point.
That's however who wrote that statement up wants you that's reading it to think, oh, they tested Buford's 30 caliber rifle. Go ahead, Punk. He gets better.
Probably Agent Warren Jones. I don't know that, but that would be, I would speculate that's who it is, now that we've read his statement above. Buford Pusser called up this TBI agent and said, "Hey, would you take my 30 caliber carbine and take it and test it so we can put a stop to some of these rumors that's going around that Buford said were spreading about implicating him in Pauline's murder. The test showed that the rifle Buford brought for the testing." Now, they want to mention that Buford brought for the testing. They're already trying to imply.
Now, look how they wrote this up. Instead of this coming out of the 1967 file, it's made to look like it came out of the 1967 file. I don't believe you'll find this in the 1967 file, if they even have the file at all. But the test showed that the rifle Buford brought for the testing. You go ahead. I don't want to repeat it twice.
Oh, Buford brought a different weapon. The test showed that the rifle Buford brought in for testing was not the same weapon that fired the projectiles and shell casings from the scene and vehicle. Now, that's the FBI. They've sent that stuff off to the FBI, and that's the FBI's findings. Now, they want to make it up there. I see that word thrown in there. I could be wrong. Buford brought. The rifle that Buford brought in for testing was not the weapon. So they're trying to imply that, oh, he must have brought a different weapon in for testing, a weapon that wasn't there. Could he have? Sure. There's no evidence of it. Wouldn't back in 1967 been the time to call their hand on that? Wouldn't that been the time to say, "Hey, Buford, how many of these guns you got? Hey, guys, anybody else know Buford having two 30 caliber carbines?" That's the time. You don't wait 58 years later and come up and get an AI car, come up and get blood splatter. Guys, it just don't happen. This is insane. Not the same weapon that fired the projectiles. Dr. Eric Warren, Dr. Eric Warren, expert witness. Now we're starting to see another expert witness here. States in his ballistics expert report that the physical evidence in this case does not support the version of events as recounted by Buford during this investigation. What's Buford's recounted it in his version? How did they get his version? Is that same statement we've been talking about for a month? Is that the same statement that Warren Jones probably typed up and what he said with no signature on it, with no date, with no witness? This is what Warren Jones said, in my opinion. I'm opining. This expert witness that they've hired states in his ballistics expert report. Now, this is an expert report because he's an expert. So if he writes something and he puts it in a report, then it's an expert report. And that carries a lot of weight when you're talking to a jury up there. And a jury's sitting there listening, and you have an expert on the stand, and he says, "Yeah, that's my expert report because I'm an expert." And it carries a lot of weight. It really does with the jury, until the defense attorneys bring up 5 more expert witnesses on their side that says that this expert witness is incorrect with his report, and their report must be right. And they've got 5 of them, so they must be right because this is only one. So 5 against 1, you know who you're going to side with, right? But let's go ahead. That the physical evidence in this case does not support the evidence of events as recounted by Buford during the investigation. The location and suspicious arrangements of the glass and cartridge cases are inconsistent with what Buford claimed occurred, as well as indicative of a staged crime scene. Wow. The location and suspicious arrangements of the glass and cartridge cases are inconsistent with what Buford claimed occurred. Guys, Buford claimed that he was going down the road and a car pulled up beside him, headlights come on, they start shooting, shot his wife, shot him, he takes off running. That's what he says in his TV interview. I don't know what somebody's wrote in a written statement that nobody has signed. Buford says in an interview that he was driving down New Hope Road and car pulled up beside him, headlights come on all of a sudden. He didn't even know they were there. Gunfire starts, shot his wife, he could hear her scream a little bit. He gunned it. That's what he said. Arrangement of glass and cartridges. How did this expert witness come up with this? Where did he see this glass and cartridge cases that's missing today? We don't even have the cartridge cases. He can't even testify that the cartridge cases that he saw in these photographs, because that's what we're going to get this from. He got his expert report from looking at photographs, and these cases are not consistent. Well, the casings may not be consistent because with anybody's claim, because you had, according to his own testimony, Dennis Hathcock is the one that run up on the bullets down there on his dirt bike, running around. He went all over the crime scene down there. He's the one that run up on the cartridges. There's people driving down the road. Not that he's seen them, because this is 1967. This guy.
He's actually in one of the photos.
That's what I was thinking.
Go ahead.
In one of the photos where you see Mr. Pusser's car sitting there, and you see these 2 teenage boys standing, it looks like on the driver's side, looking into the car.
Almost in the car, leaning
Yeah.
over into the car.
And then you have another person on the passenger side. But
Young boys. I mean, a lot's been learned over the years about crime scenes and stuff, but you would think that one of the officers would have said, "Boys, get away from the car. Get away from there." So not only were they all over where the casings were all over the road and glass, and her partial part of her head, they were inside the car.
Yeah.
Good.
I agree. That's what I was sitting here thinking about.
Stop whenever you want and comment.
He's looking at them in 2025 pictures. But Dennis Hathcock said there was cartridges all over, spent casings. He went back and told the police, and they didn't even care enough to go back down there and look and see. That's what he said in one of Mike's videos.
I mean, guys, here's you a good example. Either Dennis was fibbing, or just like I just said, they didn't even care enough to go down there and look. If they would have cared enough to go down there and look, or if he's telling the truth, he says there was a piece of her skull over in the ditch with the hair still connected to it. I can see that. Look in those x-rays from the autopsy. She's got the right front temporal of her head still missing. There's a plate from her head that's never been replaced. That bone was not there. So who he told, they never went and recovered her piece of scalp, or at least they didn't put it in with her body, because nobody put it in with her, so they could replace it on her head or put mesh over it and all this and that, because it's not in the x-rays. So that piece of the skull is still missing. Could still be in that ditch up there. Who knows?
Wow. That's a good point.
Additionally, the shooter's location and the cartridge cases are inconsistent with the versions of events provided by Buford. Guys, Buford, there's nothing that Buford's got there unless you've got a taped statement. Because that report you're going by is more than likely Warren Jones's report that he's typed up. The bullet trajectories are inconsistent with the body's positioning. Buford described the bullet's trajectories are your wife's sitting beside.
Guys, I know if you're a regular viewer, you get so tired of hearing about Buford's statement and me repeating. I'm sorry to do that. But you've got to understand that this entire case, this entire scenario from the word go has been about this so-called statement that of Buford's. And that's why I keep emphasizing it. Me or Sheila, the one, we emphasize it because they want to emphasize in every other paragraph it didn't line up with Buford's statement. It was inconsistencies in his statement. The statement just didn't. Buford does not have a statement. It's not there. This is a made up story that somebody put out there, and they've thrown it around as Buford's statement all these years. Mike Elam mostly. And by the way, he's thrown it out there, just like he says, what's that illusionary truth?
Mhm.
Mike Elam says if you tell somebody something enough, they'll start believing it. He's so good at it that he started believing his own stories, to be honest with you. But this is part of that illusionary truth because they try to throw it out there in every other paragraph, every other line. Buford's statement, it's just not consistent. It's wrong. It didn't add up. Buford Pusser does not have a statement. Everything that they're doing here is illusionary. Everything here is fake. It's false. There's no statement that's been produced that Buford statement that Buford Pusser gave. I'll try to get off of that, but I just want people to understand why is it that every other paragraph they're talking about something doesn't line up? These expert witnesses, this doesn't line up with what Buford described. This doesn't line up with Buford's statement. This doesn't line up with Buford's claim. I see three right there in that instant. It conflicts with what Buford said. None of this stuff, Buford's not said none of this. It's never been proven that Buford said any of this in a statement, in a written statement.
Side of you. We had bench seats back in them days. I assume she was right up next to them. They was going on vacation next day, going to see her parents, and then going to go on vacation.
Yep.
Already packed. The bullet trajectories are inconsistent with the body's positioning. How would we know that? How would we know the trajectories? Because I've read where they got 5 bullet holes in the back window. How do we know the direction of the trajectories? Because we don't have the car to try to distinguish which directions the bullets were traveling. We don't have the car. We don't have the evidence. You can't, I don't want to, I'm not taking on an expert, guys. These guys are experts. They're trained. They've got their title. They went to school and they got this title so they could go out here and do what they're doing. And I'm not going to, this goes back to TBI Director Roush and Prosecutor Mark Jones. This is a travesty. You
Mark
can get expert
Davis.
witnesses. That's,
Mark Davis, and I've said Mark Jones twice now. I've caught myself, but we won't go back and correct it. I'll just correct it here. Mark
Yes.
Davison. Most people knows that name. They'll know that name from now on. But
That's right.
and the reason it says that, I said I don't know why they say that for or something. But if you look 2 words over, because Buford described, they said Buford described. That's their words there. They've wrote it again.
if that's his view and that's what he thinks, they can write down anything they want. If you guys want to believe it, believe it. But it's sad that we got a prosecutor and a TBI director that's went to this extreme. It really is. I'm not going to go after Elam. I'm not going to go after Oakley. I'm not going to go after the 4 expert witnesses. This comes down to the 2 men standing on stage wanting that pat on the back and wanting that 15 minutes of fame. One with a badge and one with a degree and wanting some attention. Before this is over, hopefully, they'll get more attention in a courtroom than they ever thought they would with Buford Pusser. I'm hoping and praying that the good Lord sees fit to do what I think is going to be done, and when it is, we may get to see the truth come out in a courtroom. The bloodstain pattern on the hood of Buford's vehicle conflicts with the timing of events as described by Buford. From a holistic perspective, the limited universe of evidence suggests that the shooting scene were at least altered and likely that Buford was involved in her murder. Holy
Voluminous.
smoke. What a statement.
Voluminous. He opines. Here's us another word, guys. Go ahead, babe. Let it play.
What a statement to make. Now, guys, I may be stupid, but I didn't know what holistic perspective was. I had to go look it up. That's what I do. I'm an old hillbilly. Define holistic perspective is an approach that views a system or individual as a complete whole, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all its parts rather than examining them in isolation. The perspective considers how different aspects such as physical, mental, emotional, and social factors all influence one another to create a common picture. All right, guys, from a combined perspective, okay? From a combined perspective, if you
Simon's
took
turn.
everything that he's looking at here, he says that nothing's matching up, and it looks like it was altered and likely that Buford murdered his wife. Oh, I'll tell you what, this guy needs to put up a sign. He'd be better off. He'd make a lot more money putting him up a sign and getting a crystal ball out there, because I'm telling you, there's people that he could get all kinds of business, I believe, because he can look at pictures of a crime scene from 1967, and he can tell that Buford was involved in his wife's murder.
Is that sad?
That is very sad. Wow.
Here's it. Authorities announced in 2025 that if Buford were alive today, they believe they would have enough evidence to charge him with Pauline's murder. No. No, I believe what they said that day, the correct wording was that Mr. Davison would get an indictment from a grand jury. I could be wrong. Something to that effect. I'm sure it will come out verbatim at some point. I'm sure when this case ever gets into a court, that verbatim, that press conference will be gone over verbatim. I'm sure of it. I don't see anything. Guys, the autopsy, he said the autopsy didn't line up with Dr. Peeler's. Well, guess what? Dr. Peeler didn't do an autopsy. Dr. Peeler merely wrote down the injury to the head and what he thought the bullets in passing and how they were going. He didn't do an autopsy. There's nothing that says. He says that she was killed, murdered, homicide by a gunfire to the head. That's what he said. She's killed, gunfire to the head, husband shot, half his face is 18 days in the hospital, 16 to 18 surgeries, false teeth screwed into his head and everything else. Imagine what he went through. Imagine what he went through then and what Guys, I don't know if I emphasized it or not earlier, but Buford Pusser took his gun to the TBI and said, "Here, if you don't care, test this. I want to kill every rumor I can do away with." And a while back we done a video on the subject come up on Louise Hathcock, and they said, why did they do an autopsy on Louise Hathcock, but they didn't do one on Pauline Pusser? There was no need. And, I brought up the point, and I said, do you think that maybe Buford Pusser, so he wouldn't never be accused of doing something wrong or improper, so he could say, if you all don't care, guys, do an autopsy, so you can show what went on, so you can, it'll be there for anybody that's got questions. Do you see that? Can you see him taking his gun to the TBI and saying, hey, if you guys don't care, do a test on this so we can nip these rumors in the bud. I can see that. I can see that. Stay tuned, guys. Every time I say I'm getting off this case, every time I say I'm through with it, something else comes up. And to me, I
Yep.
don't know. It's just the way I look at things in life. I think everything happens for a reason.
It
And
sure does.
I've always said, where he leadeth, I'll follow. And I think if he wanted me to go in a different direction, he'll throw something else out there and we'll go in a different direction. But for right now, I'm going to stay on this. Sheila's gone back to substitute teaching at schools. New school year started, so it's more or less going to be me. But
We're probably
for
gonna-
those two of you that have stuck with me this long on this video, thank you. Hope we got somewhere on it together. And I'm probably not telling you all nothing you don't already know. But don't believe everything you see just because somebody's carrying a badge or has a law degree, guys. People's not trustworthy no more. I'm sorry. Back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, they may have been, or at least a whole lot more.
Mhm.
Today, it's all about that buck. It's all about that dollar bill. I'm sad to say I spent 40 years in law enforcement, ain't got a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out, but I'll tell you what I was. I was an honest cop.
Honest as the
I
day
was
is
an
long.
honest cop. You don't see honest cops living in $300,000 and $400,000 homes. You don't see honest cops driving the cars that some people drive these days. It's just not there. It's just not that kind of money in being a cop. Thanks for joining me. Catch you on the next one.
Okay. Switch this out. There you go. Now, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we've got not on this video. This is long enough, guys.
Yeah.
The next video we do is going to be extremely interesting. It's going to be disturbing, but this video will probably go out Friday or Saturday, and then the other one will come out Sunday.
Hmm.
And
Stay tuned.
I don't think I think it's going to be new information to everybody. And but other than that, babe, I don't have nothing. What do you got?
Yes. You've covered everything.
I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes it seems like I repeat. I do that for me. That's sometimes you got to look at things 3 or 4 times to really understand it as an investigator, and that way you know you're not missing something. You're actually, I did this video the other night. Sheila had to substitute the next morning, so she'd done gone to bed. I done it late at night. That's why I'm trying to be so quiet. But I didn't notice till a while ago when we're talking, when it said where Buford requested them to look at his gun, and I'd read that 5 times probably. And then I'm sitting here looking at that on there, and I looked and I said, required. They had slipped required in there. And that's all it takes is a good investigator, a good uh, con person to redirect your attention.
Mhm.
The way our minds work, when we read something, we just think it's,
One word can change the whole outcome of a
and
scene.
yeah, and it looks like they required him to have his, Buford requested to have his gun tested. But ever who wrote that report there up, that's a modern day report. And ever who wrote that up here in the last 2 or 3 years
Mhm.
wanted you to believe that they had taken Buford's gun and required to be tested. And then they even wrote in there and said, at least this was the gun that he showed up with, trying to imply that Buford, you know, there's never been nothing. If you want to know a person's character, look at his friends,
Mhm.
and also a person's past also predicts their future. If you've got Buford there and he's lied, everything you've ever asked him, he's a known liar, then you may not want to believe anything he says. If he's been convicted of crime after crime after crime, taking payoff after payoff after payoff, then he's probably crooked. He's probably taking payoffs. Somebody said today, said, yeah, he took payoffs. Where's that proof at? See, that's a rumor.
Right.
Show us one case that he was ever convicted of taking a payoff, or somebody had a camera there watching him taking this money and sticking in his shirt or in his pants.
Hmm.
It didn't happen. So if he doesn't have a past like that, how come all of a sudden we can compare and say, oh yeah, He's switched his guns out. He's lied to us. He's done this. You don't just all of a sudden turn criminal. You don't all of a sudden turn liar. That's all I can.
Oh, I agree with you. Well, guys, we hope you're doing well this evening. Thank you for watching. Like I said before, we can't do it without you all. Thank you for always tuning in and listening to us. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. God bless. Bye.